Uh, I'm really happy to have Jeff Williams with us today. Jeff is the U.S. manager for Yellowtec, and you've likely seen their ads at one point or another. Yellowtec started out, at least in my mind, with mic arms and little lights at the top of them to let people know that their mic was on in a multi-mic studio. But they have several products, and I'm really thrilled to have Jeff here to give us a pre-NAB view of what they have and what they will have. And Jeff, we'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I can do a quick little introduction here, actually. Barry, you're correct. You know, we're always viewed as the mic arm company. And but in reality, the first products for Yellowtec were USB interfaces called the pucks. They were actually plastic things that were round with a D connector on the back. And so it looked like a hockey puck. And that's where the kind of the name came from it. But to tell you the shortened story of the lifespan or the current life of Yellowtec, Yellowtec was founded by an integration company named Toom and Mar, named after Hanno Mar and Peter Toom, and they were well known for doing a tremendous amount of radio studios and that sort of thing. And everything that you kind of see that we've built is everything that integration company was going, gee, we wish we had. Gee, we wish we had mic arms that looked modern, that didn't have external springs, that were quiet when they moved, that sort of thing. But in addition to that, I mean, they made the USB products. They also came out with the original edition of the IntelliMix, which is our small mixer. It was actually a combination digital analog board with mechanical faders on it. Then they came out with mic arms, and then, well, you know, we all know with radio studios, I mean, there's more screens in the studios than there are people many times, and so they came up with mounting systems for those monitors, and then in addition to that, you know, simple things like copy stands, iPad holders, signaling lights. Which I will also get to a little bit later on in this little presentation I'm doing today. And then on top of that, we've come out with just other little things like camera mounts, which is more recent because so many studios now are not just radio studios, they're multimedia studios. And then, you know, I'll just talk about my final product, which is more or less a product that we designed for the podcast market. We did a little tease of it last NAB a year ago, just to see if there was any interest in the broadcast world, and that was with a prototype. I've been now traveling with that same prototype earlier this year, showing it at podcast shows, and I'll describe that a little bit later on too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off a PowerPoint presentation here, but I got to make sure I share my screen first.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Hey, you know, I click buttons and things happen. Anyways, hi there. So here's what we have going on here. I'm just kicking off with the introduction here, showing some of our basics, some pictures that Germany recently came out. This picture happens to be on some recent advertisements. That is a unique, I don't even know how to pronounce German microphone that's hanging on our low profile mic arm and showing a camera mount on another microphone arm for a video friendly studio. But let me continue on here where we can get into, you know, things like this, where this is you know, we do some very creative stuff around the world. This is a German studio for a hit radio station using DHD consoles and that sort of thing. In fact, they even went as far as mounting iMacs on there. There were a certain edition of iMacs that allowed you to put a mount on the back of them. And then I know that the new iMac Pro, which is still being manufactured, also has Visa screws on the back of it. But I just thought I'd show this as a kind of a crazy studio look. Everything else you're going to see here will be more of an American style.
Is that an adjustable table for?
Yes. Yes, that's completely adjustable table for going up and down, and that sort of thing. Again, we don't see things like this mostly in the United States, but I thought I'd throw it in my slide presentation because it just happens to be so unique and different and something to talk about, or think about, especially for a small facility like that. Rest of the pictures I'll be showing will be American based. In fact, here's the next one here. This is our low profile mic arms at iHeart in Denver. They have a specific Bronco studio. I got a tour of their facility, and 2 months later, I was at NAB, and their chief engineer runs up to me and goes, "Do you guys do custom colors on the arms?" And I said, "No, we really can't do that." But I go, Mike, you just gave me a tour of your whole facility. You have an entire graphics department. So they actually took those arms and wrapped them in vinyl with the team's logos and colors on them. I just thought I'd share that as an idea starter. I think it's a great idea, something to share around. Here's kind of an overview of that room using an SAS situation. Also, lots of camera stuff. Low profile mic arms, the ones that you see there, are becoming really, really, really popular. In fact, those are starting to outsell our standard mic arms because of the video aspect of studios nowadays. And so I thought I'd share that with you. Then in here, this is one of my favorite ones because I think it's just a great shot showing just different angles of what we offer. This is, I don't know if you guys know this, but Ryan Seacrest builds multimedia studios at children's hospitals. And what they do at these studios is that, I hate to say this, but if you're a chemo patient or someone who's just going through a long recovery process, boredom is a big thing at children's hospitals. And so he discovered that there could be a way to take them out of the room and make them DJ for the day, or interview a musical star that's visiting that particular facility. They also have a green screen in that facility. You don't see it in this picture, but they put them on the hospital audio chain and also video chain to where a student can stand there at the green screen and do a weather report for the day. They do talk shows. They like I said, bring in stars to entertain the children and that sort of thing. He has this studio right here is number 10 in the United States. This one happens to be at Orlando. They're building 2 more this year. They're building one in Memphis, and they're building another one in New York City. They have one in Orange County here in California, Nashville, Denver, Cincinnati, that sort of thing, Atlanta, Charlotte, North Carolina. So I just decided to share this with you because this is kind of a unique mix in this picture of the low profile mic arms on your right hand side of the screen. Again, low profile is really good for video friendly studios. You don't have something in your face, doing a show. A standard mic arm, which is hanging over the console position. Our monitor mounts holding multiple monitors over the console, and a light stack on top of the pole that is holding it. So everything you see within our product line is completely modular. We're like the world's greatest erector set. Like, for example, that pole that's holding the monitors, we make that pole as small as 7 inches. We can do custom lengths all the way up to 2 meters. I've done a newsroom to where they wanted to put a pole where it was mounted on a tabletop and on the ceiling. So we tapped it top and bottom. And they were able to mount monitors down because on that pole, there's 4 channels in it. So you can lock in things into it. And they wanted to mount monitors completely down 2 sides of it using our small monitor mount, which flat mounts the monitors to the pole. So we have lots of neat ideas. Here's another picture, another angle of what that studio looks like. Again, this is from Ryan Seacrest's studio in Orlando that opened up. Ironically, it opened up, I think, 6 months after we were kind of shut down in the world with COVID. And so there wasn't a grand opening there. They did a virtual grand opening online for it, but normally they bring in stars and that sort of thing. I went to the one in Nashville, and they had Taylor Swift be the keynote speaker at it, for example. So here's a picture of a creative studio from 2016. This is WLS in Chicago. Again, we were able to come up with different ways of mounting the mic arms. As you see, there's red lights there on the tips showing that they're on. one of the things I will discuss too, and I need to give great thanks to, is that there's other manufacturers out there that work with our products. We have a company called Not a Bot Yet, which is a unique name. They do controllers that work great with WheatNet and Axia that will power and trigger the lights from their GPIOs. Another one is Henry Engineering. They made one called Mic Alert, and that box works really well with our mic arms. And then Angry Audio has come out with a controller for our lights to work with various consoles to trigger on-air lights on our mic arms. I will say this: if I work at NAB, I would say half the people walk up to me going, "I want your arms with the lights." And then I have another half walking up going, "I don't need the lights, it's too distracting, just give me an arm without the light on it." So we sell the arms wired and installed a light. So it's not an add-on piece that you add on later on, because we actually have to split the wire inside that mic arm to create a light situation. And manufacturing wise, it would just be too expensive to do one set of wiring and then light or no light on the arm. It's just better to make arms with the light, with the breakout in it, and then arms without the light with no breakout on it, just to pull a cable through. So just thought I'd at least make sure you know that. But I had GMs walk up to me, usually it's a general manager who walks up and says, "I want every room to have an on-air light on the mic arms because I want no on-air mistakes from a hot mic being left on or a F-bomb hitting the air or something like that." So just thought I'd share that with you. This picture I took my iPhone, probably a year and a half ago. This is a Hubbard facility in Cincinnati. It was put together by Radio DNA. I was able to get a quick little nighttime walkthrough when I happened to be in town. And this is a great studio that was just, again, only completed about a year and a half ago for one of their facilities in there. They have an IT gentleman who joined the company after I did this visit. He has a YouTube channel showing how to utilize, I don't know if you see the light stack there on top of the pole, that's our product called the Lit, showing how to, what the reasoning of that light system is for, to give status of the room, whether the room is hot and on the air, whether in the record mode, whether EAS is going off, someone's waiting at the front door, et cetera, et cetera. Again, that's all managed through the Axia system that was installed there. This is also at the same facility there. Thought I'd show at least the on-air light on the tip of the arm. But the one little side trick that we added back in 2016 to our arms is the ability to make that light go white. The reason why that's a neat feature to add to the arms, all it is basically changing polarity of the power to the light, is to give you status of that microphone. So for example, I know at some facilities, what they'll do is they'll set it up to where, since these are all router-based consoles or live or audio over IP-based consoles, to let you know if it's in white mode means this microphone has been selected by a fader. In other words, someone can hit Q and listen to you. And then, and B, it might go on the air in any moment. I've seen other people also, instead of using that sort of mode, they've set it up to where red means they're actually on the air, white means they're in recording mode. So there's different ways of doing things. So let's say, at least the console's not feeding the air, it's feeding a recorder instead. So thought I'd share that with you too. This is a facility in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Summit Media. They have chosen to go with Axia with touch instead of consoles, actual physical consoles. They're using complete touchscreen consoles. They created a facility to where they know they have 3 morning shows. So I happened to take this picture as they were still assembling the room, so it's not complete. But at least it's a concept of showing you of our mic arms and what we do with them all. But in the meantime, this is one of the morning show studios. They built, since they know they have 3 active live morning shows, they built a room to where it was neutral in color. They were able to also mount cameras, PTZ cameras throughout the studios, and then be able to be do their morning show thing in each room. And also each room is completely interchangeable. So if one room goes down, they can always switch to another room, that sort of thing. This is one of their prod rooms right there, where they do basic commercial production, that sort of thing. Again, the room is being assembled, so it wasn't complete when I took this picture on my trip. Recent picture of a Dave Ramsey studio, where they utilized our low profile mic arms. I think it's kind of cute where they changed out the Shure logo and add the Ramsey logo at the back end of the Shure microphone. But actually, this picture was sent to me by the guys over in Germany. They were kind of excited to see the product and the branding so out there on a video feed. So let's see here. Okay, here's the next thing I want to talk about. Again, back to my original point of radio studios becoming multimedia studios. We make camera mounts, which can mount many different ways. Our current picture system only shows it hanging on a mic arm. In the meantime, what we're doing is that we have the ability to mount that camera mount not only on its own arm, whether it be lit or non-lit, because some places want to be able to be like a TV studio where if it's red light is on, it means that camera's on. But they also want to be able to mount it other ways. So we can mount it on top of a pole. We can mount it on side of a pole. We also have other fixed weighted positions to where it's a weighted mount to where it has a small little pole, and you can actually move that on a tabletop around so you can get the best shot for a studio. Like I said, we can mount it on a mic arm with a light on it so you can trigger to let people know which camera is on too. Again, some of the features I mentioned earlier that we came out, this is shocking to many, but we sell probably about 150 copy stands a year in the United States still. So there's different ways of doing it. That happens to be our small one. The thing that's in his hands is we also, for the small one, make a little cover for it. So let's say you need to have a copy stand, but you want to have a list of people's emergency contact information in the studio. You can put that behind that and then put that plexiglass piece on top of it. There's magnets in the plexiglass so that they'll stick together. So I just thought I'd share that with you all. This is the picture thing I wanted to talk about when we were talking about before our get together started, was our console called the Intellimix. We rolled this console out as a prototype to show to the markets to get input, delayed it a little bit, and then we heard everyone out. And then as we heard everyone out, we got smarter and smarter and smarter. And it is a small console. It is not a mechanical fader console. It has 4 plastic channels in there that allow you to touch them and move the fader. It is layered, so you can have 8 active faders at once and on 2 layers. And what I see it for when Germany came to me and saying, hey, we're coming out with this newer version of the small console. It's no longer going to have 3 faders that were mechanical. It's no longer going to have, be an analog board really with just a couple AES inputs. It's going to be a full digital board with a couple analog inputs on it. And we want every newsroom in the United States to have one. And I jokingly replied, you mean all 3 of them? And they didn't get the joke. But in the meantime, I had to think about this console because they were thinking about radio newsrooms. I was thinking about our new modern way of doing things in American radio, which is voice tracking, which is very, very common. Yes, co-host positions. I've had a running joke, and now that I've brought this console out, especially from my heritage, since when did the imaging guy need a console this big, which would fill half a room? When in reality, they need a mic, ability to monitor, ability to maybe do a phone patch, that sort of thing. The Intellimix, what you see there is the control surface for it. It has a 1 rack unit input and output box. In that input, this is the key features of this unit, is that not only does it speak audio over IP, but it does it in multiple languages. So we support Dante, which will do 64 in Dante, 64 in, 64 out Dante, 64 in and out of Livewire Plus. It'll do NMOS, and it's also a 67 compliant. Also, the in and out box has a 16 in, 16 out USB port. So for those of you running things like Pro Tools or Adobe Audition or things that are multi-track, it'll do, basically 16 tracks of audio. Even though you just see 4 faders, it does a lot of stuff in the background. And then the actual core unit itself has 2 mics, 2 lines, and 2 ASs on it. It does have GPIO on it too, to also trigger lights and that sort of thing, and a talkback. It has 4 clean feed buses, 4 auxiliary buses, and a program 1 and a program 2. So it has 8 buses in it total. So I just thought I'd share that with you. Ironically, here in the United States, we've sold a few, primarily to production houses, that sort of thing for radio. The vast majority of our sales of these, in fact, in about 3 weeks, we're going to have a big batch of them coming over. We've ended up selling them to video production houses for them wanting to be able to share audio across many different ways, Dante being in particular, and MOS or ST2110. But they also like the fact it's small, it's easy to fit into a video production suite, that sort of thing. So if you have any more questions about it, I'd be glad to send anyone a brochure or an email or anything like that. At the end of this presentation, I'll give my email address to everybody. The final product that I'm going to come out with is called the Hush. You kind of see it in this picture. It looks, that little box that's there at the base of the mic arm. It's the thing that I showed as a prototype last year's NAB, and I've showed a bit to this year's podcast shows that I've been to so far. I've been to 2 so far this year. I got 3 more to go this year. And then we have NAB, of course, in 4 weeks, which we'll be showing it at too. We've had a lot of people come up to us, primarily at podcast shows, and go, hey, I bought a Focusrite or a Rodecaster, and I really want your arm in my studio with the on-air light to be able to, when I turn a mic on, that it triggers a light on the mic arm. And oh, by the way, I got this really strange hiss from my RE20 or my Shure SM7 on these items. What do I do about it? So we kind of came out with a box that there's 2 models of it. There's the Hush and then the Hush Plus. The Hush will take in, and in fact, I'm going to hold my prototype unit up here to the monitor. And I hope I'm trying to see my little screen here to make sure I do it right. So on this side, you have a 5-pin XLR on the way in, which is the plus minus ground for the audio, and then plus minus for the light. That goes to the mic arm. Our mic arms, to do the light in them, has usually will kick out with a 5-pin XLR. We then be able to connect a controller, which I don't have the little wire to it, but I'm going to show it to you. So think of this as your good old-fashioned on-off and cough switch button for your studio. And then you're able to unmute your microphone, also have a cough switch. So if you need to do a momentary mute, and it turns on and off the light. So people are going, hey, big deal, whatever. You have a controller for the light. On the back of the unit, we also have a MIDI connection here too, because in the voiceover world, there's a lot of voiceover people who have a Studio Bricks or Whisper booth in their home, and they usually have it in a corner, and then they have Pro Tools or Adobe Audition sitting on a table outside that room, and they thought they hit record, ran in, and recorded whatever they think, a chapter of a book that they may be voicing for, and then they come out of the room, they find out they forgot they hit record. So we've been getting requests for the MIDI to be on there, so whenever Adobe Audition or Pro Tools will trigger that light. Also, the other Euro block right here is an output, so you can also trigger a hallway light out in the hallway. So think of podcasting is now audio production at home, trying to be big time recording studios. And so we kind of added this feature to it. Now the Hush Plus has one more feature to it. This gets back to my Shure SM7 RE20 comment and the Rodecaster and the Focusrite. The number one problem for podcasters is that they'll buy these microphones, which are very common in our industry, but they don't realize is that there's not enough gain on a Rodecaster or a Focusrite, and so they get a hiss. So we added an adjustable preamp in here. So in the marketplace for podcasters, I was seeing a lot of people buying the Focusrite, then buying the RE20 or the SM7, complaining about hiss, and then going out and spending $300-400 for a item called the Cloud Lifter to boost that audio up to get rid of that hiss. So with the Hush, it's kind of a combination controller for the light and cloud lifter, and that kind of combines it. Now, how does this relate to you and your needs? Well, at NEB, when I showed it last year, I did have one public radio engineer walk up to me. I ended up not being able to connect with them after the show because we didn't know when this unit was going to be ready, because thanks to part shortages of the world and everything else, we didn't know when we were going to officially roll this out. It is officially going to be out next month. And I don't have pricing on it yet because we're still counting the parts that go into it. But basically, that person told me, let's face it, we have a lot of broadcasting employees. They're permanently at home. They're connected to devices that don't have great mic preamps on them. We need to have the ability to, since they are home, have the ability to share with everybody in the household that, hey, daddy's recording right now, be quiet. And that's the reason why we call it the Hush. So that's that product right there. So that's kind of my presentation for our products for the day. We'll let you know what we will be at NAB. We're moving over from the North Hall, like where we've been for the last 4 years for NAB shows. And we're going to be at the West Hall at booth West 3558. Another note too is that our company takes part in a group called the Next Best Thing Tour. A quick little story about the Next Best Thing Tour is that back in April of 2020, when the world pretty much shut down, some of us just got on, vendors who we travel in the same circles doing minimal, little shows every once in a while, got on the phone and said, gee, no shows anymore. How do we let people know we're going to keep doing this, or that we're still in business? And so a bunch of us got together and said, well, I have an RV. Let's go drive across the country and introduce ourselves to people. And then it became a show. We literally made it a true trunk show. It has since evolved. We've now purchased a TV ENG truck where we're able to mount all the equipment in it. We're kicking off that show starting next Monday. We'll be at in Phoenix. So we'll be in Gray Television in Phoenix on Monday. We'll be San Diego at iHeartMedia's parking lot on Tuesday the 22nd. We'll be for Los Angeles area. We're going to be showing at the Glendale Elks Lodge. Then the next week we'll be in Bakersfield, Fresno, San Francisco, Sacramento, and Reno. If you want to look up all these locations, if you go to nbttour.com, that gives you your list of where we're going to be at. And it's a bunch of us. It's Telos, it's myself, it's Second Opinion Communications, Tyline, a few other key people, Jam Pro, Nautel is a sponsor, all that sort of thing. So. Other than that, I think I'm pretty much wrapped up on my presentation. If any of you have questions regarding Yellowtec or anything, don't be afraid to ask me. I'll be glad to give you my email address. Very simple. It's Jeff, Jeff, at, and then Yellowtec, YELLOWTEC, and then the key word here is .us. So Jeff at yellowtec.us. So I appreciate all your time on this.
Well, Jeff, thank you so very much for bringing the pictures and the discussion to us of what Yellowtec's capabilities are. And let's see if anyone has any questions for you. If you have a question, hit your space bar or alternate A and let us know.
Jeff, I'm having trouble finding, what's the date for the Los Angeles out there at the Glendale Elks Lodge?
It'll be a week from today, 23rd.
Oh, 23rd. Okay, I'll put
Yeah,
that on the calendar.
Yeah, the show runs from 11 to 2.
Okay. Grab my calendar and I'll put it on there. 23rd.
And I know a bunch of you are very much RF specialties, that specialize in things, but one thing I didn't do in my introduction is give a little bit of an introduction to my career a bit, is that I decided to get into radio because, my father told me not to. And so I was able to talk my way into helping a guy named Shotgun Tom Kelly in San Diego when he was working weekends at a station called KBS 95. He was doing all request oldies show on Saturday nights. And so I was able to talk my way into helping him pull all his carts to, for his requests. And then that's how I got my radio career started. He then moved over to KFMB, and then they hired me on officially as a board operator there. Of course, my parents, really fearing that I was getting into radio, said, "How far away will you go?" And I to go to college. We don't want you to go to San Diego State and working at KFMB forever. So I ended up going to Emerson College in Boston, and I talked my way into WRKO to being a board op there, much to my parents' chagrin. Graduated with a mass communications degree, scurried back to San Diego, rejoined KFMB just as we were starting the Gulf War in 1991. And because I had experience in producing talk radio, and the station was a full service AC at the time, they kind of made me executive producer of all the talk shows during the war period, and I kind of stayed there. And they kept me around after they went back to playing music again, and I did production and promotions. I realized that I wasn't that good on the air, so I got into management and became eventually a program director for JCOR in San Diego. I ended up going from KFMB to KSDO to KOGO to being a program director of KPOP in San Diego. And then in 1999, I transferred up to Santa Barbara within the Clear Channel family, which was being taken over, from JCOR. And I kind of moved up here and vowed never to leave. So I stayed with Clear Channel in 2006. Then I specialized in news talk, but I also did AC and country, and so I jumped over to night broadcasting in 2006 and stayed with them until 2015. And I got to meet these great gentlemen from Germany, and they wanted to see, how do Americans buy things, because they really didn't understand. And so I was able to kind of guide them through their thought process of how to work with the U.S. market. Just to let everyone know, regarding our products, I'm first line of customer, support here in the United States, and I do have an engineer named Greg Dahl from Second Opinion Communications. He's been trained on being able to do anything. Repair everything we make. So one thing I like to tell everybody, despite the fact we're a German brand, we do have U.S. service here.
Well, I'll add one more thing. They almost need to do so, I think. How's your dad?
Both my parents are doing quite well, even though they were a bit snowed in a bit. He's in great shape. He's 81 years old. He's still flying his airplane on a regular basis. He's very, very involved with the Big Bear Pilots Association. He's in wonderful shape. In fact, I'm kind of jealous of him. If I lost 10 more pounds, I'd be closer to him. And he's stronger. He works out every day. He actually goes to a gym and works out.
Wow.
So
very good. Very good. Well, I'm sure all of us here today want to send our greetings to your dad.
I'll make sure I pass that along.
So, anyone else have a question, either on the
Well, I saw Dave Stewart here had a question saying, how about a arm with streaming color like stores open sign? Hey, that might be an idea. we should do that.
You could almost set it up as tell the talent you have 30 seconds to shut up.
I'll have a good one. That light stack I told you about earlier, as I showed the pictures, I went to one facility. I think this one was in Chicago. They had an extra light. That light stack can do up to 5 different colors. It's modular, so you can add any colors you want in any order you want. And they had an extra light in all the on-air rooms for the 5th light. They didn't know what to do with it. So they created a button in the lunchroom for free food. So whenever someone pushed the button in the lunchroom, the lights in the on-air rooms would go off saying free food in the lunchroom. So that's a radio thing.
Yeah.
On the Hush, what were the outputs on that?
So it's basically, there we go. So we have a 5-pin XLR here, and then on the output we have a 3-pin XLR here. So we break out the.
Okay. So you still need the digital to analog or analog to digital converter?
No, this is all, no. The 5-pin is for analog audio with the lights.
Right.
So mic level with the lights. And then the output, you can adjust to line level to mic level.
Yeah, but you still need the converter to get it to.
No,
a
there's no
USB.
converter. It's all analog all the way through.
No, I'm saying you still need the external converter if you're
Yeah.
going to run it into a computer or something for a podcast.
Yes. Okay. And that has been one question too, is that, in fact, I was at one of my resellers recently up in the Tacoma area, and they were asking me, why didn't you put a USB interface in it too, to match your other boxes that you make that have the same form factor? And I go, because this product's designed for the people who already bought the other stuff, and in the podcast world, I will say one thing about podcasting: the entry level to do it is very low, when it comes to expense. And so a lot of people buy the $99 Focusrite first, and then they buy the $350 Cloud Lifter later, and so on and so on, so forth. In our situation here, we want to kind of combine it to control light too. But like I said, I had a broadcaster walk up to me going, we have people permanently at home and we need to have the ability to trigger a light somehow to get people to be quiet. In fact, as I sit here and do this now, I have my dogs in one of the bedrooms so they don't bark on this call.
Or you could theoretically use those 5 lights as a countdown.
Yeah.
You have 30 seconds less and, yellow, yellow, orange, red, or something like that.
And one thing regarding the stacked lights is that you can program the base. There's a controller at the base of them. Each one of the lights can be programmed to do a different effect. And so you can do a slow flash, a medium flash, a strobe, a solid. You can even adjust how intensely bright that light is too. That's kind of a thing to show there.
Very good. Well,
I hope I didn't bore everybody. I just thought I'd at least do my introduction. So,
No, you,
tour website. Someone wrote in here or wanted to have the Next Best Thing tour website. Oh, someone wrote here, it's 5 p.m. There's coffee and popcorn burning in the station kitchen. I would actually do a red flashing light saying someone microwaved fish, but
you can have a color for pizza and a color for bagels and a color for whatever, tacos.
There you go. So,
hey, Jeff, thanks again. We're not chasing you away by any stretch of the imagination, but we'll take you up the hot seat here, and somebody has a question, you're welcome to answer. But we're glad you were here.
No, and I really appreciate the invite. And like I said, I hardly ever do these things, discuss my product on Zoom, because a lot of times people like to walk up, especially at the Next Best Thing tour. And speaking about the Next Best Thing tour, one little side note too, we had a lot of markets that a lot of people don't go to. I mean, we go to Racine, Wisconsin. We did Little Rock for the first time 6 months ago. They not only thanked us, but they told us they started a whole new SBE chapter. They created a whole new SBE chapter there, and it's clearly half radio and half TV, which is good. It was nice to see that.
This has become a real issue. Of course, you and Greg and the NBT are emulating what Larry Bloomfield did for some years.
Well, we openly admit that. We bring it up. People walk up to go, some other guy did this, and I met him once. Sadly, it was right when I took over NAB or took over Yellowtec back in 2015, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him afterwards. So
he was a nice guy. He passed away about that time.
Yeah,
but the tour gives you the thing nowadays. It's harder to get away to Las Vegas for any number of reasons, budgets, staffing level, or whatever, and to bring this into your local area where people can actually put their hands on the gear and feel it and feel the quality, or see it's metal and not plastic or whatever. I think this is a very valuable thing.
I'm very much a hands-on person. And so that's the reason why the tour really became important to me. In fact, the guys in Germany are really funny. One of my main colleagues actually keeps an American map in his office, and he's now been putting on pins of where I've been on the tour. And it's great. So I go over and visit them once a year, usually in September. In fact, I did my first visit with them last September after, since 2019 due to COVID in between. But it was neat to walk in there and see all the pins everywhere. The tour has been to 47 out of 50 states.
Mhm.
And
Very good.
so
Let's
we're
see.
kicking it off soon, and I'll be living back in hotel rooms again.
And Greg tells me he's going to put together a little video with you guys, and then he wants us to put a little video together, and maybe the BDR will show up on the screens in the truck.
There we go. That's a good thing.